Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Dragon Knight Mage tank build in Oblivion Remastered. If you played Elder Scrolls Online, you'll know exactly what this is all about. They're a class from that game, and they focus mostly on fire damage, so we got some spells, we got some attacks, and we got a lot of different combinations of gear that make this quite powerful in Oblivion Remastered. So I'll be showing off all the best ways to build this and get the most out of it. So, first off, the best race choice will always be your personal preference, but I do think that the Dark Elf works very well here because we're good with swords, they're good with destruction magic, and they get 75% resistance to fire magic, which is going to be one area that we focus on heavily. And the best race in the game, the Breton, because they get a 50% increase, or 50% Magicka increase and 50% Magicka resistance, meaning they take half damage from spells, so they fit the Mage tank role very well since they got that extra Magicka. These two would be the absolute best choices. However, the Orc is also a nice choice here. I know some people like them, some people hate Orcs. They got a Berserker Rage ability. They also got a 25% Magicka resistance, so not as good as the Breton, but still, hey, pretty good. The Berserker Rage is really nice, so whenever they use that, get a lot stronger, so that's a good choice. The Nord can also work too, because the cold resistance fits perfectly with like a Dragon Knight going on fire damage, so the Nord could be a good choice as well. So one of these four I would say would be the best. The Redguard's also a solid choice too if you want to play as them. The High Elf I would not recommend. They get a plus 100 to Magicka. However, they become vulnerable to fire, frost, and shock damage, taking more from it. So my personal picks would be the Breton, Dark Elf, and Orc, with the Nord and Redguard also being good choices as well. For Birthsigns, there's two that really stand out here. The Atronach. This playstyle is not for everyone, but it gives you a plus 150 to your Magicka. You have a 50% chance of absorbing spells. We do have gear that's going to give us a high spell absorption as well, which I'll show off a bit later. And they unfortunately don't regenerate Magicka, so you do have to rely on potions. Now, the Lord, previously in the original Oblivion, this made you take extra fire damage. This is a great choice because it gives you a plus 15 armor rating, which is massive in the early game and still quite useful later on in the game. And you get a Magicka resistance increase by 15%. So these two are fantastic. The Lady is also decent, giving you plus 10 willpower and endurance, so you get more health from endurance, and willpower increases your Magicka regeneration rate. The Warrior will also give you increased strength and endurance, which is also good for the more health and damage. And the Thief is never a bad choice because getting plus 10 to luck is also really nice because it's hard to get your luck up, as it takes 4 points out of every 12 that you have at level up to level up that. So the best two would be the Atronach or Lord. Lord gives you more defensive. The Atronach gives you spell absorption and more Magicka if you really like that style of play, but the Lord would be the absolute best. A lot of the custom or created classes here are not that great. Like the Knight giving us blunt hand-to-hand, like, it's not that good. We're going to make our own Dragon Knight custom class here. Whatever icon you select, this is going to be the icon whenever you go to make it. Now, this is a tough consideration between combat and magic. I actually think magic is a little bit better here. It'll give a plus 5 bonus. It increases a little bit quicker. Magic is a huge thing in Oblivion. It's so powerful, so we're going to go with that there to start off. And then for our attributes, I think it's best to go around endurance and intelligence. And here's why. And I'll also talk about leveling. So endurance gives you more maximum health. This is going to give you more survivability. And as a mage tank, we need more survivability. Intelligence gives you more Magicka, which is, you know, you cast spells with it. So this is going to be useful as well. Willpower is also quite nice. This will increase your maximum fatigue and your Magicka regeneration rate. Strength is also good too for our weapon attacks, but I think the absolute best choices would be go with endurance, intelligence, and then as we level up, we'll be putting all our points in endurance and intelligence to get your max health and max Magicka up to the maximum as quickly as possible. Willpower will be the next stat that we also increase alongside our strength as we want to do weapon attacks too. I do think there's a benefit here in taking luck because, as I mentioned, it's a harder attribute to level up. So as you level, put points into your endurance, intelligence, and then the last few points in willpower or strength. Depending on whether you find you're attacking more with a weapon, go strength, or if you're using more Magicka, because it's entirely dependent on how you like to play. So you can go, obviously, take some lesser points from intelligence, put them into strength if you prefer to do weapon attacks. So that's the best attributes there. Now, as we get into putting together this custom class, we're going to want to be having at least one type of armor. I'd recommend heavy armor for this as we're more tanky with it. Light armor is good too, but heavy armor blocks more. So big numbers, we like that. I also am going to take blade here. If you prefer blunt weapons, go with that. You basically want to pick between blunt blade or hand-to-hand, although hand-to-hand's not that great in this game. Blade has some of the best weapons in the game, so that's what we're going to go with. Now, we do want to be a tank, so we need restoration. It's plain and simple. This allows us to heal ourselves and also to absorb health from enemies too, if you want to go that route. destruction. Enough said. This does an elemental damage. And there's actually something nice. We're going against a boss type enemy or someone with lots of health. Take the weakness of fire spells and then apply those and then do your fire damage. So you can combine those together for maximum damage. In addition to this, we're going to take Conjuration because having a tank alongside you is super useful. So we can summon in Atranax, we can summon in zombies. I would recommend the Fire Atranax. They're very good because they have a ranged attack and a close range attack. So they're quite useful. I think that they work very well here. Now, there's another school of magic that's not typically talked about. It's Alteration. This gives you the ability to shield yourself from physical and magical damage, and that's really nice. So we get shielding spells. So this can be good too if you really like that. If you don't want to use Alteration, Illusion's good too because you can paralyze targets. That's useful. It doesn't really fit thematically here. Same with Mysticism. So it's okay. Bind Soul is the biggest one there. Alchemy is good, but Alchemy also levels up extremely quickly, so you don't fully need to take it. And out of all of these here, you could take like Sneak if you wanted to have something extra. Like Sneak's very useful in a lot of situations in this game. Just be mindful your boots are likely heavy armor, so they will slow you down a bit or make it easier for them to spot you. So you just have to be mindful of that. Since we're using heavy armor, the armor can be nice since it's going to break down quite often. And block, since I guess I should have mentioned that for sooner, block is super useful because we're going to be blocking damage. Although block levels up really quickly too, so you might, some of these you may take something else instead, but block, I mean, as a tank, we're going to be using mostly restoration, a bit of fire magic as well, and then going into blade block and heavy armor. Now, when it comes to magic, I recommend having your own unique spells. Like I like this one here to summon Fire Atranax or Flame Atranax for a minute here. So this one is really nice. Aegis and other shielding spells are also quite useful from the Alteration line here, as this will give you a 50% shield. I'll be covering items in a moment because we can also get that from items. I also like to use Illusion. As Chameleon's also quite useful. You can kind of cheese this game. For healing spells, I like to, you know, have a decent one like a Heal Major Wounds here. Depending on where you're at in the game, you're going to get different healing spells, and you can even make your own custom ones. I like to also have a heal over time spell, so there is some that can do healing over a period of time here. Like this one does 25 points over 4 seconds, so that's really nice. And it has a bit of a higher cost, but I mean, it's because you're going to be healing over time. Now, any type of shield spell is going to be quite useful. Being able to summon as well is really useful. As I mentioned, Conjuration's big. The Daedroth here is nice because the Daedroth has the appearance of a dragon. So if you use this summon, I think this is one of the most underrated summons in this game. It does a fire attack, it does a melee attack. It's huge, it's tanky, it's really good. I also like to use the Flame Atranax here because they just fit thematically well with our fire, and they got increased appearances here into the remastered version of Oblivion, so that's quite nice as well. But we can also use a Storm Atranax because they're also very tanky too. Those would be my 3 recommendations. The Atranax look incredible in this game, so that's why I like to use them. But the Daedroth is going to be the most tanky, I guess, of the 3. I like that one quite a bit. So on top of that, touch spells are good too. Like being able to take an absorb health spell is pretty useful. So you can use this to recover your own health. This is from the Restoration School, which we'll be focusing on. Taking some Magicka is really good. I don't love the at touch attacks unless you got like a reanimate one here, because we want to attack from range. So this is where things like, I made this unique spell Dragonfire here, 35 points of damage in one target. So you can do things like this, make your own spells once you get to that level in the Mages Guild to be able to create your own spells. Super useful. You can also go with some other large area of effect ones. The best spell in the game is actually Wizard's Fury here, which does 10 points of fire damage over 15 seconds. 30 points of frost and 30 points of shock, and it only costs 47 Magicka, as that's like half the amount it would normally take if you were to make the spell yourself. So this is the best spell in the game for that. I also like to have the weakness of fire spell on the enemy because that's going to make your fire spells hit that much harder. And also having like invisibility, I mentioned, is really, really useful. So that's what we want for spells. Now for armor, I like to have the Mundane Ring if you can get this. So this will increase your, puts a 35% reflect spell on self and 50% resist Magicka on self. You can't unfortunately combine 2 of these, but you can find them as random loot, and there's a 1 guaranteed spot where it'll drop. And this is one of the best rings in the game. I also like the Spell Breaker here, which gives a 30% reflect spell on self, so reflecting a lot of spells. Spell Drinker will give you 26 points of spell absorption on self. And the Ring of Namira, which will give a 10% reflect spell on self and 12% reflect damage on self. So pretty tanky. And we're also using Daedric armor. You can go with something like increased magicka, like that's always a good choice. Fortify magicka, 50 points there. It's super useful. You can put this on all your armor and then you'll get your magic up very high. That's probably the best if you really want to focus on doing magic. But overall, that's going to be what we'd be focusing on for gear. And we got our summon in here to be able to tank for us while we can run around and then use our fire magic from range and then get in and out using our shield to keep ourselves alive. So we got a lot of different options here when it comes to combat. Like we got ranged magic, we got our summon that can help tank for us. So whenever we're in actual combat situations, you want to use your tank or you want to use your summon as much as possible to be able to tank for you, because it's just useful to have as a distraction where you can kind of walk around to the side and be able to attack them that way. So that is a nice way to kind of distract the enemies. Using Conjuration also helps once you get to the higher difficulties, because if you're on Master, you're only going to do 0.167 times the amount of damage that you possibly could do against a target. So if you do 100 damage, you're only going to do 16 damage. So that obviously makes things a lot more challenging because your health or your damage is not very high. But whenever it comes to our summons, they aren't affected by this. Now, we don't just have to use fire magic. That fits thematically, but I love the way that lightning looks in this game, so I often am using lightning. I have fire on my sword too for overall damage, adding 20 points of fire damage on attack, so that can be pretty useful as well for when we're going against some of the more damaging enemies in this game. So that's the beauty thing of having a summon like that, is they're able to draw aggro away from you as much as possible, so you can take down the more damaging enemies and then focus on just keeping yourself alive too, and focus using things like restoration. So here's a lich that we're going against. Anytime that we're going against spellcaster, it's nice here because we can regenerate magicka from their spells, so that's nice too. So you can see there, they're casting spells on us and not even hurting us, because we have that reflect spell so high, it's going to damage them too. So that's a very powerful build for the Dragon Knight Mage tank in Oblivion Remastered. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an incredible day. I'll see y'all in the next video.